another episode of the 152 show. We got part two of the top 15 wrestlers from New York since the year 2000. We're going to go over number 10 to number 6. It's your boy Lou152 with my co-host Funky Banks.
How we doing?
How we doing? All right, let's get right into it, bro. Why don't you introduce the number 10 best wrestler from New York since the year 2000? Who do we got?
And number 10 from Penfield, Section 5, we got Frankie Gisson-Danner. Frankie Gisson-Danner was a U16 Fargo champion. He was a Powerade champion and runner-up. He's a four-time New York State champion, an 8th grade third-place finisher at 138 pounds. He's a four-time Eastern States champion, and he's the only ever six-time Section 5 champ.
Wow. Wow. I mean, that's quite the accolades right there. This was one of those guys that when he came up and you saw, as an 8th grader, as a 7th grader, he was already at the state tournament. He just was wrestling like a senior already. You know what I mean? As such a young kid, he's another one he's so athletic. He was so good on his feet. Chain wrestling. One of my favorite matches, and this was when I knew that Frankie was like seriously that dude, was when he beat Mike D'Angelo in the state finals as a freshman. Now,
Yeah.
Mike D'Angelo was a senior. He was ranked somewhere like 11, 10, 12, around there in the country, Super 32 runner-up. So D'Angelo was just, he was killing it. Nationally ranked wrestler, Super 32 runner-up, multiple time New York State placer. And then Frankie just beats him in the state finals. And it was a great match. It was an overtime match. But to see a freshman beat someone like Mike D'Angelo, that's when I knew, Frankie is that guy. He is the real deal. And he had some exciting state finals. He had a nice one against that kid, Troy Keller. That was another exciting match. He's someone that, even though he had a lot of these great, national accolades, he had some really good matches in season as well. It wasn't like some of the other guys where, they were just teching their way through everything in New York. Frankie had some really good matches. I think that's just a testament to how tough his weight class was, throughout his high school career. But he had some really exciting matches in New York.
He also just had a lot of adversity in the sense that he was a young guy wrestling 145. I think freshman through senior year, he was a 145 pounder. So that's a weight class where you see a lot of seniors, a lot of juniors, and as a freshman, he was just a step ahead of everybody.
Yeah.
Four-time Eastern States champ, four-time state champ. He was just, he was consistent and he was tough. And also, I
Yeah.
want to put this out there. I like those 8th grade accolades. 8th grade third place finisher at 138 in the semis. He lost to Chris Mauriello, who won the state tournament 1-0 as an 8th grader.
Wow.
Just a big deal, man. And also, you'll see on the list, Powerade runner-up. That was his only loss as freshman through his senior year. And he lost to Jared Verklaren, who was the defending U17 world champion.
Stud
And
from
some people
PA.
say it was a pretty bad call, but that was his only loss. Your only loss in high school from freshman through senior year is to the world champ. Think about that.
Yeah.
And he's wrestling 145 his whole career.
Yeah. Coming from Section 5 is a tough section. So to win that 6 times is definitely that's not an easy feat. That is not an easy feat at all. So, Frankie's that guy, number 10. Number 10. All right, so let's get introduce to us the number 9 best wrestler from New York since the year 2000. Who do we got?
Number 9 from Hilton, Section 5, another Section 5 guy, Greg Diakomahalis. Greg Diakomahalis was a Who's Number 1 winner. He was the 4th and as of now the last 5-time New York State champ. He's a two-time Super 32 runner-up. He's a two-time Eastern States champ and an eighth grade runner-up. He's a Fargo All-American, and he could have done a lot more, but he got injured a lot. A lot of his career he spent injured.
Yeah, I mean, Greg is an absolute monster. I mean, five-time New York State champion. That tells you everything you need to know right there. I think a lot of his accolades or whatever kind of gets overshadowed a little bit by the fact that he's Yanni's little brother. So, everybody always talks about Yanni instead of Greg, but I mean, listen, who's number one winner, two-time Super 32 runner-up, two-time Eastern States champion, Fargo, five-time New York State champion. I mean, those are some real serious accolades. Um, he's just he's somebody that, for what he's done as a five-time New York State champion, I believe he doesn't get talked about too much for whatever reason. But I mean, watch his matches. I mean, he was an amazing wrestler. I mean, similar to, he's his own wrestler, but he had that similar style, just like Yanni. Very funky. Love to scramble, very flexible, and those types of guys are hard to beat, man. So yeah,
Yeah,
Greg
very solid.
Nakamahales.
He's very solid. He's very consistent. He's the kind of guy you knew when he went out there he was going to win. Whenever there was that guy who was like, one year Anthony Scotto wrestled him in the semis, and Anthony Scotto was really hot all year. Everybody's like, I think Anthony Scotto might be able to beat Greg. The match
Mm-hmm.
happens, and Greg just undeniably shuts him down. Terry Adams wins the state title the year before. They wrestle in the semis. People are like, I don't know. Terry's big on these upsets. Terry might be able to pull this off.
Mm-hmm.
Greg goes out there and just handles him. Greg is a very solid wrestler. He's going to go out there, he's going to win just about every single time that he wrestles in New York, and most of the time he wrestles in the nation. He's, two-time Super 32 runner-up. It's a big deal.
Yeah, yeah. It's like kind of reminds me of, everybody, if you watch, right now the Knicks going on, everyone's talking Jalen Brunson, everyone's better than Jalen Brunson until it's time to be better than Jalen Brunson. So that's kind of like the way you put it, just
Yeah.
reminded me of that. Oh, everybody's
Yep.
better than Greg. Terry Adams is gonna beat Greg. Oh, Sciato's, he's hot, he's gonna beat Greg. But when it's time to beat Greg, they didn't beat Greg. So,
Yeah. Dylan
you
Ryder
know,
too. And they wrestled one of the best New York State finals, in my opinion, one of my personal favorite wrestling matches ever in the 2018 state finals.
mhm.
And he just found a way to come out there. It was like both guys, it looked like both guys did not deserve to lose that match, but Greg just found a way to win
Greg.
because he's a winner.
Yep,
Yeah.
yep. All right, that's number nine. Let's introduce the number eight best wrestler from New York since the year 2000. Who do we got?
And number 8 from Eastport, South Manor, Section 11, Adam Buziello. Adam Buziello is to this day the only six-time New York State finalist ever. He's the third five-time New York State champ. He's a three-time Super 32 champ. He's a three-time Eastern States champ, two-time runner-up as a seventh and an eighth grader, and a third place finisher. Five-time Suffolk County champ. Seventh grade, he took third at Suffolk County in a monster weight class.
Wow. Yeah, I mean, and that was the year that he took second in the state to Ja'Cory Teamer. Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean,
we'll see you
Busiello,
later.
we'll see him later. I mean, Busiello was, the stuff he did at the Super 32 was absolutely incredible. I mean, he was on pace to be the first four-time Super 32 champion. It didn't happen, but still winning it three times is absolutely insane. Five-time New York State champion. Busiello was just, he was a mean wrestler. He was a guy that was gonna get on top. He was gonna bar you to death. He was gonna pop that arm out of the socket. He didn't care. He was gonna wrench you over. He's gonna pin you. He's gonna bar in half, roll you through, take you one way. If that don't work, bar you that way. I mean, he was just mean. It was painful to wrestle him. I remember his senior year when he wrestled the kid from Section 6. I forgot his name, the guy from Section
Willie
6.
McDougal.
Yeah, a lot of people were talking good about McDougal. Oh, McDougal's gonna do it. McDougal's gonna stop Busiello from winning five, and Cielo just pinned him. So because I believe they had a really close match. I think it was earlier that year.
It was a
They
one
had-
zip match at the Eastern State
Yeah,
Finals.
it was a
And then
one to
everybody
one.
was like, everybody's waiting for the rematch, and he goes out there and pins
Yeah,
him in the rematch with the
yeah,
move that he spent his entire career hitting on every single
yeah. The
body.
bar, exactly.
Yeah.
So yeah, it was a 1-0 match. Everybody said, "Oh, McDougal's gonna do it," and then Busiello just goes out there and just manhandles him. I mean, Busiello, he's one of those household names. Comes from a wrestling family. His brother was good as well. So
His dad
I
was a
got
New
to
York
watch.
State finalist.
Yeah, I got to watch his match with Ja'Cory. 2014. I watched it right in front of my eyes, getting ready for my state final match. It was absolutely insane. Bucielo's, dope individual. He's done a podcast with me in the past. So shout out to Bucielo. You're my guy,
Legend.
and you're a legend.
Yeah.
All right, so let's introduce the number 7 best wrestler from New York since the year 2000. Who do we got?
Number 7 from Long Beach, Section 8, Ja'Cory Teamer. Ja'Cory Teamer is a U17 World Bronze medalist, a Who's Number 1 winner, a Fargo champion, a Flow Nationals champion,
Mm.
NHSCA champ, the second ever 5-time New York State champ, 4-time Eastern State champ, and an 8th grade placer.
I mean, Ja'Cory Teamer was an incredible talent, athletic wrestler, one of the most unorthodox wrestlers that I've ever seen. I mean, this guy he would do things that you would watch it and be like, what did he just do? He had great upper body. He could throw you, headlock you, amazing in scrambles. He had, he'll spladle you, he'll sit the corner and cradle you and pin you. And, Ja'Cory was just, even, I believe this is the first guy from Section 8, big Section 8, on the list. So got to show extra love to Ja'Cory, Nassau County. I saw him when he was coming up as a youth, and we all knew he was going to be a phenom, coming from Long Beach. We all knew that, he was going to be that guy. So Ja'Cory Teamer, I got to, I watched him at the NCAAs. I watched him, in person when I used to go to the Long Beach tournament all the time. I mean, he's just so fun to watch, electric. He's another one who had a lot of close matches in New York. Even though he was so good,
Yeah,
he
yeah.
was in some
It was
really
a
tough
style
weight
that he would
classes.
even have close matches. Yeah,
Yeah, he would have close
yeah,
matches. He would win these 1-0 matches and stuff. And it was always like Ja'Cory was kind of those guys that he was like a sleeping giant almost, or he's like, he would be kind of slow in the beginning and you would think, oh man, this guy's in the match. And then all of a sudden, when the heat would get put on, Ja'Cory would just flip this switch and then score when he needs to. He would just score whenever he needs to. So, Ja'Cory, absolute legend. NCAA runner up. I also want to mention 3-time All American, right? 3-time All American and NCAA runner up. So, they had a great success in Division One as well. So Ja'Cory's that guy.
yeah. He could have fallen into that trap of being good as a lightweight and then not carrying it into those heavier weights. I remember his sophomore year, he went from 106 to 126, and they had him ranked fourth at the beginning of the year. He ended up winning the state title that year. He beat John Arceri in the finals. John Arceri, good wrestler. Shout out John Arceri.
Yeah, very good
But
wrestler.
he just he kept that same energy at those heavier weights as well, you know?
Yep,
So Corey
absolutely.
was a very solid wrestler throughout his entire career, well deserving of the seventh spot on the list.
All right, moving on. Let's introduce our number 6 best wrestler from New York since the year 2000. Who do we got?
At number 6, from Section 9, Minnesig Valley, we got Zach Ryder. We're
Okay.
starting to hit a different kind of accolades now. Zach Ryder is a U20 US Open champion, a two-time U17 World Bronze medalist,
Mm.
U16 Fargo champion, four-time New York State champ, three-time Division One and a journeyman champ, and a seventh grade Division One runner-up.
Yep.
He was a Division I New York State champ at 126 in the eighth grade. He also skipped his senior year of wrestling in New York to go and train with David Taylor at Penn State at the time. He's at Oklahoma State with him now.
Absolutely legendary. So you feel like here is when we start to hit a new type of, like you said, like a higher level of accolades right here. It starts here at number 6, you think?
U20 US Open champ, man. What left to say? He's wrestling college wrestlers and winning. You
You're
know?
right. You're right. I mean, Zack Ryder was, I mean, when he had that seventh grade match, state championship versus Steve O. Poland, I was like, yo, this is the seventh grader right here. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's when I'm like, yo, this kid's definitely different right here. Um, you know, two-time U17 world bronze medalist. I mean, these are international accolades that we're getting into right now. Um, you know, to be a state champion in eighth grade at 126 is also absolutely insane because once you start getting past, like, I would say past 120 is when you start getting into like most of the wrestlers are seniors. You know what I'm saying? Like, you'll get
Yeah.
some younger guys still at 126, but as an eighth grader, that's very impressive at 126 pounds. You know, crazy.
His weight class at that year was really competitive. It was a lot of seniors who spent their entire lives up to that point trying to win a New York State title. And here he is in the eighth grade, looking at these seniors in the eyes and saying, guys, it's not your time right now, it's my time. Like to
Packing them
do that
up.
is insane. Most of the eighth grade state titles are at 99, maybe at 106 pounds.
Yeah.
This guy just
Yeah.
went into a real weight class with real competitive seniors, a bunch of D1 commits, and said, guys, it's my time right now. There's nothing else to say.
Yeah. Zack Ryder. Also, we get let's shout out, All American this past year at Oklahoma State. So, or and he was a freshman, right? Freshman, redshirt freshman, I
Yeah,
believe.
this was the first year,
Yeah,
redshirt freshman. Yeah,
yeah,
yep,
redshirt
yeah.
freshman. So already having success, really redshirt freshman, and he was injured. I think he had like a something on his shoulder,
All
the
year
whole
long, he was
tournament,
hurt. Yeah.
all year long,
I
and
also, yeah, I also want to add, Adam Buziel is the only ever six-time New York State finalist. He could have been, but he decided to forego his senior year to train with David Taylor.
I mean,
Just
listen,
a very special wrestler, man.
at that point, I mean, you already won everything there is to win in high school at that point. You know what I'm saying? So if you get an opportunity to train full time with somebody like David Taylor, Olympic and world champion, I would say it's a smart move to go do it.
Yeah, it's paid off so far.
It's paid
Yeah.
off so far. So, all right, that concludes part 2 of the top 15 wrestlers from New York since the year 2000. This was number 11 through number 6. Next episode, the one that everybody wants to see. Top five wrestlers from New York since the year 2000. Stay tuned if you want to see it. Funky Banks, you're killing it. Great job on the research.
Thank you, brother. And thanks for starting this show. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. Tune in. Top 5 New York wrestlers of all time. Coming soon.
Wrestling gang, what up?